So good day everyone. So we are the group number 17 to discuss to you about the summary conclusion recommendation. Next slide po. So the member of the group is me, Allen Alonso and Aldrin Mendoza. So the topic that we will next slide po. So the topic that we would like to discuss is all about the summary conclusion and recommendation. So first is next slide po. Summary and conclusion. So the summary is a brief restatement of the main findings presented under each factor. Findings answer what? They are based on the facts. And the conclusion is an interpretation of the facts that you gathered and discussed. It is not a repetition of the facts. It is not an action that the company must take. Conclusions answer so what? Conclusions answer so what? So you should develop a conclusion for the facts gathered for each factor. Next slide po. Example of conclusion. So, assume that you are searching alternative sites for a new plant and have gathered the following data. So, site A has a 50,000 US dollars, costs 5 acres and 5 miles from the interstate. Site B has $75 million, costs 7 acres and 1 mile from the interstate. So the conclusion would be that site A is less expensive and that site B has more acreage and is closer to the interstate. Next slide po. So the example of conclusion. Assume that you found data from 3 companies to utilize an open office layout of some sort. The experience increases in productivity of 5%, 6%, and 15% respectively. In your factor section, after discussing these companies' productivity figures, your analysis stated there was an average increase in productivity of 8.6% with individual company productivity increasing ranging from a low of 5% to high of 15%. So, what would your conclusion? Next slide po. So, the conclusion statement. So, this is the answer. As was previously discussed, several companies experience increases in productivity ranging from 5% to 15% with an average increase of 8.6% by using an open office layout. So these increases would seem to indicate that there is potential for Rocker Insurance Company to also realize an increase in productivity in the neighborhood of 9% if some type of open office layout were employed. Next slide po. So the constructing summary and conclusion that would be discussed by Mr. Aldrin Mendoza po.
Good evening po. Constructing summary and conclusion. Constructing the summary and conclusion combines summary and conclusions into a single level 5 heading. New information is not presented in this section. No source are cited, and you will probably write a paragraph for each factor considered in your report. Write your summary for each factors you analyze and follow immediately by your conclusion regarding those findings. Next slide po. Recommendation. A recommendation is a suggested action the company should take based on the conclusion. Conclusion were based on the findings and answer the problem statement. Recommendation answers what now, and recommendation are answered. I answer what and now. The suggested action should be implicit. Um, use use action verbs such as purchase, implement, explore, etc. And details include a brief how to implement or the next step the company should take. Next slide po. Recommendation and statement example. It is recommended the Cracker Insured should implement an open office open open office layout for these employees. In order to successfully implement an open space layout, all manage managers should be interviewed about action verb implementation statement. Next slide po. In a nutshell, the summary is developed from the data you discuss. The conclusion are drawn from the main fact repeated in the summary. The recommendation are developed from the conclusion. The recommendation answers the problem statement. Next slide po. So, ito po yung exercise 17 na gagawin po. That's all po. Salamat.
Okay, so in the summary and conclusion, specifically for IT, the culmination of research endeavor in information technology is encapsulated in the summary and conclusion, providing a comprehensive overview of the study, key findings, and their broader implications. No? The summary begins by succinctly restating the primary findings of the research, whether quantitative or qualitative, and this section provides a condensed version of the results, highlighting the most significant outcomes derived from the study's data analysis and interpretation. Building on the summary, the discussion transitions into an exploration of how the research contributes to the broader field of IT. Researchers delineate the novel insights, methodologies, or technologies introduced, emphasize the study's unique value and potential impact on the advancement of IT knowledge. The summary and conclusion shed light on the practical implication of the research findings. This involves a discussion of how the results can be applied in a real-world scenarios, potentially influencing in industry practices, policymaking, or technological advancements within the IT domain. Researchers delve into the theoretical significance of their work, elucidating how the study contributes to existing theoretical frameworks in IT. This may involve validating, extending, or challenging established theories, fostering a deeper understanding of the phenomena under investigation. Addressing the inherent limitations of the study is a crucial aspect of the conclusion. Researchers openly acknowledge constraints such as sample size, methodological choices, or data constraint that may be impacted the study's robustness. So this transparency enhances the credibility and the integrity of the research. Concluding remarks often include recommendation for future research direction. You as researcher propose areas where subsequent studies could expand upon the current findings, address unresolved questions, or explore new dimensions within the IT landscape. And this forward-looking perspective contributes to the ongoing evolutions of an IT research. The conclusion section concludes with a synthesis of the main takeaways, reinforcing the significance of the research. Now, researchers may reiterate the study's main contributions, emphasizing their impact on the field and the potential avenues for further exploration. In the final thoughts, researchers may express reflection on the research process, unexpected challenges, or the evolution of their understanding throughout the study. And this personal touch adds depth on the conclusion, humanizing the research journey and providing context for the significance of the findings. The summary and conclusion section serves as the culmination of the research process, distilling complex findings into accessible insights and paving the way for future exploration in the dynamic and ever-evolving field of information technology. So I think that's it.